Hi, all the followers of My Voice, My Choice. I'm so happy that we are here talking with one amazing member of our movement. And I will just ask you to introduce yourself. I think that's the best.
Okay, hi, first of all, thanks for having me. And so I'm Marlene Engelhorn. I'm 33. I live and work in Vienna. I'm at home right now, and I am going to go on the next Freedom Flotilla, like one of many, many people, because there's over 40 different delegations that want to go and sail in order to bring vital aid, humanitarian aid to Gaza and help, like, try to create a humanitarian corridor, that is, sorry, and break the siege and get all the attention to Palestine, because that's what this is about. It's about Palestine. And I'm also lucky that I get to be a member of the My Voice, My Choice community that has really supported me throughout the last weeks and months, to be honest.
And my question is like, you made the decision to go on one of the next flotillas. You are right now preparing for this. It's like if you take from a perspective of individual, it's a big thing for someone to make this decision. But you said it's not about fear, it's about like doing what is right. How did you decide to do this? And how are your preparations looking like?
Whoa. So um, I don't exactly remember the moment, but I just realized also when I heard about the Madeleine and the crew, and that was the first time I really understood what the flotillas did, and I was late to understand anything or everything. And I'm not even claiming that I understand everything, but like that really hit me. And I was like, if I could support that by going as well, I would do this, I guess. And then recently I was asked the same question, and it was like, yeah, what motivates you? And I'm like, I don't need motivation. I think that's the key point. This is just the right thing to do. If you, as a person, just as a human being, have the possibility to support any kind of action for Palestine, then I think you should do it. And also with me, I don't know if it's special, but the particular reason I thought I might be a candidate to go was because I was born into an insanely wealthy family. I've spent my last 4.5 years talking about wealth inequality, tax justice, that we need to redistribute wealth, that it needs to be structural. I have also redistributed my wealth personally because I wasn't taxed like I said I should be. And I knew that I had built in, sorry, I had built enough of a name to maybe add like attention through that name to the flotilla. And if that helps protect others who go, who are much better at going because they're like seasoned activists, they know what they're doing, and I'm just here dragging cameras, then fair enough, then I'm here dragging cameras. I hope that we can help get focus that attention on the flotilla on and essentially on Palestine.
Yeah, and basically this time it's different. It will be also like national delegations going there, yeah?
Yes, exactly. We're gonna have continents from all over countries from all over the world, from every continent, as far as I know, or almost every continent, coming to join. And we're currently preparing all sorts of things. Like there is every delegation is collecting money in order to buy boats, buy supplies, registration fees, legal costs, travel costs for activists. All sorts of things need to get covered. So anybody who is interested, go and visit the Global Summit Flotilla website, find the fundraising pots that they opened. You can donate, you can support, you can share all of the content. And I'm currently trying to figure out what it means in terms of like, what should I bring and what should I not bring? What makes sense, what doesn't make sense? Meanwhile, we're still organizing a lot around who's going to get on what kind of boat, how many boats are there going to be? There's so many to look at, and like the logistics. I'm not in logistics, but I'm really interested in logistics, figuring all of this out. It's a lot is still like just buzzing like a beehive, and I think it's going to get clearer once we can finalize dates and stuff in in the next couple of days,
Yeah.
probably because yeah.
We were working together also on a petition to stop the trade agreement between Israeli government and European Union, and you really took a stand also there. Why do you think we need to do everything right now when it comes to Gaza?
Well, that's a question that you know the answer to better than me, I think, because our representatives have failed. I mean, you get a little step ahead because your representative in terms of like Slovenia has taken a step with the total arms embargo. Finally, someone who found their spine. And the EU could have done so much. The trade agreement, I think it's worth 16 billion, if I'm not mistaken, of euros in terms of, I think, exports. it's insane the amount of money that is currently fueling a genocide. And like the Genocide Convention just says, if there is reasonable consideration that this could be a genocide, everybody who signed this convention has an obligation to step in and to stop it. Nobody did anything. And I can't believe that I have had so much faith in the European leaders and there is nothing coming of it. And I hate that civilian people, like just random ass people, have to do something in order to get any attention anywhere about this topic. I mean, I'm super late to this whole discussion. I can't pretend that I'm a front fighter at all. And like, I understand all of the critique and I accept it. But also, we have to make sure that the more of us pay attention to this, the better. Because, I mean, those who started talking about this right away, who had the courage and spine and bravery and everything, they got beat up so bad. They got locked away. They lost careers, jobs, existences. They were considered crazy and not to be taken seriously anymore, like serious damage. So it's about time that we did something. And I think the bad conclusion is it's actually already too late. I mean, if you look at the pictures, that alone, if that doesn't touch you, where's your humanity? But we're too late already. We're like 1 3/4 years too late, frankly.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why we will continue to fight. And that's why we also decided that My Voice, My Choice will support every flotilla, will support with visibility, with posts. And that's why we decided to be like, how to say, a friend from behind on your journey and to be with you on every step of the way. If we go a little bit to also other topics, like one thing that I admire about you is that you know that it's not about like individual action, it's about structural change. And you always speak about like changing laws, changing rules, changing the system. And basically, the first campaign when I noticed you was the campaign about tax the rich. And it was also an ECI, which was not collected. And here is also a promise that once we will do it again and we will get those signatures. But my question is like, why do you think it's so important to fight on a level of systems? And also, can you explain a little bit to people who are watching us about your journey with Tax the Rich and how you got into the fight?
Okay. I think I might answer the second question before the first because I think it will just take the first with it. And the thing is, I was born into a super rich family and I could very easily just ignore that. When you're so privileged, so wealthy like me, everything is catering to your needs and you can just pretend that you're the most normal person and that you have like serious struggles and everything. And you always forget that you can literally afford not to care because all of your privilege, all of your wealth cushions that so nicely. Everything seems just a little struggly, but never quite. And then I got announced the inheritance, like I had put it all aside and I didn't want to deal with it. I was like, this is my family's wealth, not mine, which is rubbish. And then I was announced the inheritance, like, okay, so now it's going to be mine. So I have to do something. And I wasn't happy about it, but angry because I knew this is injustice. I shouldn't, just because of my last name, just because of my birth, get this amount of power, because essentially it's not just about having loads of money, it's having loads of power, especially when you go into multi-million fortunes. And so I did what I do always, which is I ran with my head through the wall and I talked to everybody in my surroundings and I bugged them about being wealthy and what does it mean and what to do. And that's how I got connected with other rich kids like me who struggle with their moral integrity and who are like, oh, what am I going to do now? And instead of just wasting like rich tears of, oh, we're so rich and how hard is it? And this kind of shit, because that also can happen quite easily. We realized this is not about us. This is about an issue that is created through structures, legal structures. And that's exactly where we need to start changing things. And the most democratic, transparent, and actually nimble and clever way of going about this is going through the tax system, which is not super sexy, but I'm like, fuck this shit. We're going to make this sexy. I'm going to do anything and everything. And I never thought I was going to be in tax. I thought I was never going to understand how it works. Turns out it's actually fascinating, but that's maybe when you're down the rabbit hole, you have to say it's beautiful. And so like, I fell in love with understanding tax and how it is the political instrument for distribution of like resources of power through distribution of wealth, and that it's so neglected reflected politically, also in discourse. And so I organized with other rich people. We co-founded the initiative Tax Me Now, where we then decided, okay, we're going to get media attention just because we're rich. People are going to talk to us, they're going to listen to us because we're rich people, not because we're clever, not because we're right, just because we're rich. That's the only significant difference between me and any other activist on the topic. And we did get all of this attention. And we said the same thing again and again. You have to tax us. This is not about us. You're just talking about this with me because I'm rich. And essentially, it's very easy and very possible. If you want to talk about the models, there's very many models out there. Go talk to an expert. Listen to people who have been doing that kind of work forever. Talk to union leaders, talk to other NGOs that work on tax justice. Take this seriously. And the discourse has started to change and to shift toward taking us seriously and taking the whole debates more seriously. And also trying to make sure that it's not a hero's journey to go and say, look, I am affected, I need this to change, and I am in a power position and can do some things. This is the least interesting thing. And that's also the same with the flotilla. It will not be about individual members. It's the collective effort of so many countries, delegations, of so many activists who collectively decide, okay, we're going to figure out how to get as many boats as possible to sail to Gaza and get humanitarian aid to Gaza and to Palestine, because that's the story. Palestine is the story. And with tax, it's the same. The law is the story. The people get to tell their governments what they need, what they want, and they get to demand that resources are distributed differently. And if you look at pollings, which I think is so insane, most people are in absolute favor of wealth redistribution. And then the politics behave like, oh, this is such an interesting debate. It's like, no, it's not a debate. It's a choice. Not having a wealth tax is just as much a wealth taxation choice as having one. Only now you're choosing to go against people instead of doing it so that people get what they should get, which is a fair system. And I think there's this Alice Walker quote. I like it a lot. A friend of mine uses it a lot. It's like the most, I'm going to butcher this quote, by the way, but the dangerous thing people can believe is to believe that they don't have power and therefore not use their voice, basically. So that's the butchered Alice Walker quote. Anybody who cares for it, please look it up. But I think that's essentially true. And so many people approach me like, what can I do about it? And I'm like, frankly, sign petitions, join movements, join groups. Don't be alone in this. Never, ever be alone in this, because you're not. And because being alone is part of the capitalist lie, this hyper-individualized society where nobody has any friends or community anymore. But when you find that again, that's something that you also point out so beautifully, Nika. When you find your friends in your community, all of a sudden, that power becomes quite big, which is also when the backlash becomes bigger because they realize, oh God, they have found their collective power again. So yeah, I think that kind of goes with all your questions. You're muted.
I think one of the interesting things is that like they try to convince us that like we are divided, that basically there are topics where we need to have these long conversations about. And for us, we were so often convinced that like abortion is a divisive topic. It's a polarized topic. And like before we started to work with My Voice, My Choice, we got a polling from like many different countries in European Union. And we realized that in majority of countries, the support for abortion is more than 70-80%. And for us, it was fascinating because it was like, what the fuck? Like they're teaching us for years that we are divided and that we shouldn't have a discussion about this. But when you actually ask the people, it just shows up that those who are against are so much louder and so much like more evil and are so much better in creating the voice that they want to push us that we are divided. And when you're speaking about taxing the rich, I think it's like a very similar situation that they try to make a debate out of something which is actually common value of the people. And now that I mentioned abortion, one question that I have, and I never asked you, like even privately, not is how did you find us? How did you join us? And what was the moment when you became the member of the community?
Oh, I remember someone saying when I got into this whole ECI thing, that was pretty much a year ago. Somebody told me, yeah, there's this one other movement and they're trying to go for safe and legal abortion. And because I knew about the website, there's a website for everybody who doesn't know that, where all of the ECIs are always listed. There's currently I don't know how many, but like usually there's several different ones running at the same time and with different levels of campaigning and success, obviously. And then so I had found it and I had signed it, and I hadn't given it a big thought. Um, I think this is, I hope I don't remember this wrong, but like anyway. And then I didn't think about it much, and I didn't have Instagram. I only have Instagram since January this year. But I knew that apparently it was going so well. Somebody told me, yeah, they're really like good at this. And I'm like, ah, cool. That's good to hear. I'm actually super happy about that. And then I went on Instagram, and because I trained the algorithm only this January, it's like I was a new baby for the algorithm. And the algorithm was like, so you like feminist things, you might like this one. And that's how you showed up in my timeline. I'm like, I think those are the cool people. And because your work is so excellent, I just basically stole your work all the time and put it in my stories and be like, look what they're doing. This is excellent. And because I believe in saying who is like putting the spotlight on the right person, I was always trying to make sure that you were tagged visibly so that people know if they want to figure out like who is this. Because I didn't know that when you clicked on it, then it would say, look at the actual thing. I had no idea how Instagram worked. So I was just doing like the boomer version. It's like, look at my voice, my choice. And a friend of mine was like, Marlene, it's so sweet looking at you discover the internet. You don't know what you're doing, but you're very kind about it, which I thought was a beautiful compliment. And so this is it. You just did excellent work, and you just randomly, organically showed up in my life. And I was like, I want to support this as much as possible, whatever that means, like sharing stuff on Instagram. Then we did a first collab. I thought I was going to faint because I was so flattered. It's like, oh, what an honor, I get to do that. And we went from there, and it's been beautiful.
Yeah, and I really, really believe that one thing that we also talked is how important it is that movement that we have is not just one issue based, that we like present many different topics and that we are basically building a story, a vision of tomorrow, how we want the world to look like. And I think that if we come from like standing up against genocide to taxing the rich, standing up for human rights, reproductive rights, LGBT rights, like all those stuff, I think that we have in common. And on this stage, I think that we need to finish because we are limited in time. But I just want to say that I'm so happy that we are in this together. And I think that at least one more ECI will for sure come that we will do it together.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to it. And I agree with you. Couldn't agree more. And I think it's precious what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I've learned so much from you. So I'm glad to be able to learn even more. And I get to tell you from everybody from the delegation that I know of, everybody is so excited that we're working on this together and so happy for the support because we're growing in numbers so visibly now. Like I think we can really make a change. And I really truly hope that eventually Palestine will be free.
Yeah.